Greetings. We are in Senior English A, and our objective now is to spend some time with Elizabethan sonnets, especially the sonnets of the English Renaissance. And we are on page 254 of your hymnal now. And we're looking at a couple of Spenserian sonnets. What does that word mean? Spenserian. What does Spenserian mean? You maybe will write this word down. What is that, Roberts? Why did I call this a Spenserian sonnet? The poet is Spenser, right? That's simple. The poet is Spenser. If the poet is Shakespeare, what do I call it? A Shakespearean sonnet. Does that make sense, right? So that's all this means. A Spenserian sonnet. He'll have a couple of ideas he's going to present to us. Now, the first thing I want to say is stuff you're going to want to write down in your notes for exam prep. First of all, these three sonnets that we're going to look at, Sonnet 1, Sonnet 35, and then Sonnet 75, one day I wrote her name up on the strand, which we have already looked at. All three of these come from a longer work, okay, called Amoretti. A-M-O-R-E-T-T-I. Amoretti. It means in Italian, little love poems, okay? The second thing we need to say about this sequence is unique because Spenser wrote all these poems to his wife. Okay? Her name was Elizabeth Boyle. B-O-Y-L-E. All right? So we should point out, love inspires all these poems. What do I mean when I say that, inspires? What's that mean, Shafe, when I say that? Love inspires all these poems. Good. Kind of like a motivation, huh? In other words, he's motivated to write this stuff from love. For his wife named? What was the name you wrote down?
Elizabeth Boyle.
Elizabeth Boyle. You got it. Okay. Sonnet 1. I'm just going to give you a brief overview. Sonnet 1. He claims that he suffers because he can't focus on anything but his girl. Sonnet 1. He can't focus. He loses his attention. He's distracted because he's in love with his wife. Okay? Some of you will go, "Aw, that's so sweet." Whatever. Sonnet 35. The information that I just gave to you about losing focus, I apologize. That's the information for Sonnet 35. Sonnet 1, he claims his motivation for writing these poems is his love for his wife. Okay? So let's say it again. Sonnet 1, motivation for writing the poetry, his love. Sonnet 35, I lose my focus because I'm so distracted by my wife. Sonnet 75, we already looked at it. He wants to make his life live forever by writing poems about her. Alright, let's just look at them now. I'm on 254. Let's go through it quickly. Well, pay attention to the form of the sonnet since we are also writing one of these things as well, right? You should be reading with me on 254. Sonnet 1. Happy ye leaves, when as those lily hands which hold my life in their dead doing might, shall handle you and hold in love's soft bands like captives trembling at the victor's sight. And happy lines on which with starry light those lampling eyes will deign sometimes to look and read the sorrows of my dying sprite, written with tears in heart's close bleeding book. And happy rhymes bathed in the sacred brook of Halcyon, whence she derived is, when ye behold that angel's blessed look, my soul's long lacked food, my heaven's bliss, leaves, lines, and rhymes seek her to please alone, whom, if ye please, I care for other none. Now, I should point out, notice, alone and none kind of rhyme, don't they, right? Sometimes this is what we'll call sight rhyme, where the words look like they should rhyme, even though maybe when you pronounce them they don't exactly rhyme. You can play that game as well. A simple poem that says what? I write these lines, all of these sonnets, because of my angel, my girl, right? My angel, my girl. Sonnet 35, he'll continue by saying his wife must have been fairly attractive to him, and so he was distracted all the time. One or two guys have known this problem, where they can't think because all they want to do is sit and look at the girl. It might happen at Worland High School, I don't know. Sonnet 35. My hungry eyes through greedy covetize, still to behold the object of their pain. With no contentment can themselves suffice, but having pine and having not complain. For lacking it, they cannot life sustain, and having it, they gaze on it the more, in their amazement like Narcissus vain, whose eyes him starved. So plenty makes me poor. Yet are mine eyes so filled with the store of that fair sight, that nothing else they brook, but loathe the things which they did like before, and can no more endure on them to look. All this world's glory seemeth vain to me, and all their shows but shadows, saving she. Now, at a poem like this, you're supposed to Hernandez go, oh, that's so sweet. He says, before I met my girl, I loved looking at all this other stuff. But now that I've met my girl, I'm not interested anymore. All I want to do is look at her, and I can't get enough of looking at her. The kind of penultimate statement of infatuation, we might say. Sonnet 7.5 we've already worked with. Let's jump now to Sidney's poems. Okay. And I'm on page 257 and following. Sidney's sonnets are, he had 108 of these things. Astrophel and Stella is the title of the collection of works. Okay, he also had 11 songs as part of this project. This one deals again with love for a woman named Penelope Devereux. Okay, Astrophel will represent Sidney. Stella, of course, represents Devereux. I should point out, Astrophel is a name that's kind of a hybrid name from the Greek. Astro meaning star, Phil meaning lover. It's thought to be a pun using Sidney's first name, Philip, right? As well as a description, obviously, of Astrophel's role in the sonnets as the one he loves. Stella, the star, right? In Sonnet 31, now we're ready to work with the poem we've got here. In Sonnet 31, a frustrated lover, and that's what you want to write down. What does that mean, frustrated? What does it mean to be frustrated?
Agitated.
Yeah, agitated, things aren't working out very well, whatever. A frustrated lover sees his own love sickness mirrored in the pale moon. Sonnet 31, write it down. When he looks at the moon, he thinks about his own empty love. Sonnet 39, he seeks in sleep a release from his suffering. So Sonnet 31 is about the moon. Sonnet 39 is about needing sleep, even though we can't always get it. Let's look at them quickly. Sonnet 31. I'm on page 259 now. With how sad steps, O moon, thou climbest the skies, how silently and how wan a face. What, may it be that even in heavenly place that busy archer his sharp arrows tries? Sure, if that long with love acquainted eyes can judge of love, thou feelest the lover's case. I read it in thy looks, thy languished grace. To me, that feel the like thy state decries than even of fellowship, O moon. Tell me, is constant love deemed there but want of wit? Are beauties there as proud as here they be? Do they above love to be loved, and yet those lovers scorn whom that love doth possess? Do they call virtue their ungratefulness? Now this is an interesting little poem. He asks the moon a simple question. Is it like, on the moon, is it like kind of what trying to fall in love with a beautiful woman is like? He says, I try to show her that I love her, but she's a beautiful woman and she's accustomed to guys always looking at her. So she doesn't really respond always. Frustration. Sonnet 39. Again, I'm moving through these quickly because I want to get to the Shakespeare sonnets. I'm helping you prep for the exam. Obviously, your work on page 261, some of those questions there will help you prepare for the examination. Sonnet 39, the easy one word for this one is sleep. Sleep, all right? He longs for sleep. Let's see how it works out. Again, another sonnet. Come, sleep, O sleep, the certain knot of peace, the baiting place of wit, the balm of woe. The poor man's wealth, the prisoner's release, the indifferent judge between the high and low, with shield of proof shield me from out the prease of those fierce darts despair at me to throw. O make in me those civil wars to cease. I will good tribute pay if thou do so. Take thou of me smooth pillows, sweetest bed, a chamber deaf to noise and blind to light, a rose garland and a weary head. And if these things as being thine by right move not thy heavy grace, thou shalt in me, livelier than elsewhere, Stella's image see. I'd like to point out at line 7. Did you see what he calls falling in love with this girl as? What does he call it? It's like a what? The emotions within him are like a civil war. Jot down, how can love be like a civil war? How does that work at all? The emotions of love are like a civil war. Where, of course, in our nation's history, we're familiar with the concept of civil war, aren't we? All right, let's now turn and spend the rest of our time now with the sonnets of Shakespeare. These are the ones that we'll be looking at to prepare to write our own sonnet, due again tomorrow. And I'm with you on 275 and 276. Now, since we are memorizing Sonnet 116, we're going to start there. So I'm with you actually on 276. And you'll want to have your notes out in front of you. Again, we're taking notes as we go. You'll hand these notes in tomorrow, of course, in your read-write assessment packet. Sonnet 116 is the ultimate statement of eternal love. I'll say that again. Sonnet 116 is the ultimate statement of eternal love. If you've ever asked an adult, how do you know if it's real love versus lust, for example? Shakespeare's going to play a game of giving you an idea. Now, once you hear what he has to say about love, you can then debate whether you agree or disagree with it. Let's look at the poem and then let's exegete, shall we? Sonnet 116, you should be reading with me on 276. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. Now, we're going to have to really concentrate as we go through the process of exegesis here to try to figure out what it is that he's saying. First of all, the opening 4 lines. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Jot down the word impediment. What does it mean if you impede your speed? What does that mean? Do you go faster or do you go less fast, Lo? If you impede your speed, do you go faster or do you go less? Impediment means to stop. So what is it that he says right away? Let me not, I don't want to the true minds, marriage of true minds, admit impediments. What does he mean? Put it in your own words. We're working level 1. What does he say about true love? I don't want to what? Put it in your own words. What's he say? I don't want to what? Anybody want to take a stab at this one? What does he say about true love?
He doesn't want to fall in love.
He says, I don't want to stop true love. I don't want to stop or impede true love. How does he say true love, though? It's interesting. How does he say it? The marriage of true, not bodies, but what? Minds. So let's put that in our notes right away. Shakespeare's going to argue, and Logue, you should be working with me right now on page 276. That's where you should be looking. Okay? He says, marriage of not bodies but minds. True love is about falling in love to minds. Then he's going to tell us what love is not. Write that in your notes. Love is not love. Which what? Look at it. Love is not love which what? Alters when it alteration finds. What's that mean? Love does not alter when it finds alteration. What does alter mean? It doesn't what? It doesn't change. Let's write it down. Just, these students that say this, oh, I love her. 2 days later, she's such a jerk, I hate her. And his friends go, dude, 2 days ago you totally were into her. No, I'm not in love with her anymore. Shakespeare says that was not love, that was definitely lust. That's not love. Love doesn't alter when it finds alteration. It doesn't bend with the remover to remove. In other words, once you're in love, you are in love, he says. It doesn't go away so easy. Look at the next part of the poem. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark. It what? It what is an ever-fixed mark? Love, ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. Now, you won't understand this word picture unless you think about this for just a second. How did they get across the oceans back in 1600? You didn't get on no airplane. The only way you get across the ocean is on a ship. Are you ready for this? A bark. That's another word for a ship. Got it? Write that down. That's important to the word picture. Ship, bark. But here's the problem. When you go out on the ocean, those of you that saw that movie Perfect Storm, you know all about this. You can have terrible tempests or storms. When you're in the middle of the storm, how do you know how to navigate? What's the only way? You got to look up. You got to look up. Look up at what? At the stars. But wait a minute. All the stars are in movement except for one star. Jot down. What is the one star by which you can navigate? If you're a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, you're taught this, aren't you? The way you navigate is by looking at what one star? The North Star. Why do you look at the North Star? It's always there. It never moves. Now you can jot down in your notes. Shakespeare says true love equals what? It's just like what? It's just like the North Star. Look what he says. It is the star to every wandering bark, ship, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. You don't really appreciate the value of the North Star until what? Until you get in the middle of the storm. You don't really appreciate the value of love until you get into what? The middle of life's challenges. You got it. You got it. Take a look at what he says next. Love's not time's fool. Whoa. What does that mean? Put it in your own words. What do you think that means, Beck? Love's not times fool. Love does not change with time. He uses a word picture. Are you familiar with how time is often drawn in a picture? Have you seen this one where at the end of the Christmas Carol, the Scrooge story, remember the third ghost that shows up is the ghost of death. Remember, dressed all in black, holding on to that curved blade. Why does he hold on to the curved blade? What is that all about? What's the word picture? Death is like what? Cutting grain, right? Lives of people are like grain, cutting the grain. Look what he says. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What does that line mean? Look at it again and try and put it in your own words. As we age, love continues to still be love. In other words, dude, I liked her as long as she was hot, but the minute she wasn't hot anymore, I had to go get somebody else. Way wrong answer. Way wrong answer. He says that's not love. Love does not change with age. Love's not time's fool. Though rosy lips and cheeks. What is that rosy lips and cheeks thing all about? You have that when you're what? Young or old?
Yeah.
When you're young, you look a certain way. As you get older, some of that beauty fades. He says, you continue to have love. Look at the next one. Love bears it out even to the edge of doom. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did he just say? You read it. What did he just say? Even in death, love will still be there. Even in death. Now, it's altogether possible that somebody reading this poem might say, yeah, right, like this even exists. True love. But remember, Shakespeare's writing this for his lover. And so look how he finishes. If this be error, if what be error? My ideas on love. If this be error and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. Whoa, 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 what? He's got a bit of irony going on. Put that in your notes at 2b. He's got a bit of irony going on here. He says, you know what, I could be wrong. But the only way I could ever be wrong about true love is I never wrote anything. How do we know that he wrote something? You're reading the poem. What's he telling his girl? The fact that I wrote this poem is proof what? You got it. The fact I wrote this poem. Remember, this is the same cat that wrote those words that Romeo speaks on the dance floor to Juliet. And that seemed to work for that night anyway, right?